and today is December the 2nd, 2022, and that is a whole lot of twos. You know what I mean? 1 2 2 2 0 2 2. All right. You know what? I was taking a big old drink of my Diet Coke and it went down the wrong pipe, and so I'm coughing. So 1 minute. Sorry about that. Okay, I may have to do that a few more times, but hopefully it'll be over. Jackie Hughes? Jackie Hughes, welcome, my friend. Hey, Makeup with Jackie. Good to see you. We got a whole lot of Jackies going on. Hey, AK, how are you doing? I hope you are well, my friend. Doubly. How are you? Man, last night was tough. It was tough. I couldn't hardly stand it sitting there, but I was stuck. I didn't have any way to, have some privacy to go live. So I was there with you guys in spirit, though. Hey, hey, Crime Sleuth, and how are you? 1 minute. I know we need more J names, right? Crime Sleuthin'. It's a weird case where you've got all these J's, and then we got Jackie Hughes and Makeup with Jackie, and I know it's a bunch of it going on. Okay, so let me I didn't have a notice for going live, so we'll see how it turns out. You guys know as well as I do, drama always attracts people, right? If somebody hears there's going to be drama, they all pile in, want to hear it. But it's boring. And so if you're looking for the drama, that's in the other video. This is a no drama zone. All right. There's so many Jackies, but Jackies are good people, right? Okay. So 1 minute, I'm choking. Hold on. Sorry about that. My goodness. I'm telling you, I was taking a big drink of Diet Coke, and I was in a hurry and I wasn't paying attention, and it went down the wrong. I hate that I always miss your lives. Thank you for taking a stand. What happened to me the past couple of days from this creator? I am ready for some. I don't know. All I know is that you've now been targeted, but that doesn't surprise me. AK's been targeted. Everyone. It is the most insane existence. It is statistically impossible that every single person that woman ever finds out about, that they're all after her. That's just statistically impossible. Unless she's a big bully going around poking everybody and stirring up trouble and hurting everybody, then people will, lash back. So I want to move on. Hey, Shalimar, how are you? I'm here front and center with my notepad and pen. Oh my God, Shalimar, the pressure. I don't know if I can perform. We'll see. I'll give it a good shot. Crime Sleuthin', I have a question for you. Did you see that video of Bullhorn Betty in front of this house that's on the screen? Did you see where the man pulled up in the I don't know if it was some kind of SUV, and he's got 3 flags on it, and he and Betty are throwing down. Have you seen that? Oh my gosh. I don't know. It's so embarrassing. And the cops out there trying to, waiting for detectives meeting. This is a welcome change. Well, we'll see how we can do. All right. I don't know which detectives you're waiting on, though. Who are you waiting on? Spill the beans, AK. I'm sending resin coating on my paintings. Oh, nice. Very nice. Yes, I did. He called her. Yes, Scarlett. Yes. Something tells me that we didn't see what happened before he used the C word. Something else must have happened because he used the C word. She spit on him. It was a virtual YouTube circus. Something for all of us YouTube creators to feel so proud about. All right. Yeah. A missing persons case in Grand Junction. Wow. Well, maybe you would be willing to come up on channel and tell us about your case one night. Would you do that? She hit his Yeah, I saw where she spit. Yeah. I agree. She should have been arrested. Absolutely. Yeah. Olivia was covering from her view and caught it all. She muted and hid her camera and then lied to her viewers. I didn't see that crime. I didn't see that. Okay. Thank you, AK. Good. Yes, I would love that. That would be so interesting and something a bit, uh different. Maybe this is Friday, Saturday. Maybe we could do it tomorrow night unless you've already got play. You're such a busy person. I bet your social calendar is completely full. But if you could find a Friday night, a Saturday night or a Sunday evening, that would be appreciated. Hey, Teresa Fountain, welcome. Good to see you. Afro Human, welcome. What channel was that on? A lot of people are showing it. Crime Sleuth In. Does Olivia have it up on her channel? Bullhorn Betty probably has it up and proud of it. Zero social life. I don't believe that, AK. I don't believe that. You're way too humble. You know what I mean? She said, I didn't spit on you. I spit at you. Welcome to the Bullhorn Betty shit show, y'all. Yeah, I heard all that. It's so embarrassing. Are you going to work? I'm sorry, Doubly. Well, you will be missed. But I'll talk to you later on tonight. Okay. Have a good afternoon working. Okay. Oh, Crime Sleuth has the clip. Yeah, exactly on the views. I'm with you. Yeah, so Crime Sleuth has the clip. If y'all want to go watch it, she can get that for you. Okay, people. Lady of Angels, welcome. I'm so glad to see you. I have a hard time understanding why Olivia associates herself with them. I've said before, Olivia's really talented. She really is. It's a shame, but that's where she believes that she can do the best, I guess. With her, trying to get her product out there. I just wish I wish she'd find some other people. I think they carry a lot. I did not post it. I can give the link here. Oh, well, thank you. Okay, so y'all hang on. Sleuthin is going to give us the link, and then y'all can go watch it at your leisure. And then we will go ahead and get started on this topic. Okay. AK Rocks, if you want to come on either tomorrow night or we could do Sunday, just let me know. It's up to you, and tell us about your missing persons case. That would be really great. Okay, so here is the link. Screencastify. You'll have to type it in because it doesn't do a link when you're in StreamYard. So, okay, so if you want to go watch the Bullhorn Betty, well, I'm just going to say it, okay? If you want to go watch the Bullhorn Betty shit show, you just got to, type in that HTTPS, blah, 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 and go watch it. It is pretty embarrassing and humiliating. It's unbelievable. Everywhere she goes, there's chaos. It's embarrassing as a YouTube creator. Miss Anegba, welcome. Glad to have you. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and get started. We have yammered about enough. Okay, here we go. Okay, so I hope everybody has had time to write. I'm going to wait a few more minutes and give y'all time to write that down. All right, so I agonized over whether or not, oh my God, I have to do it. I can't help it. I can fight the urge, but I just won't go away. She sits in a treetop all day long, rocking and a bopping and a singing this song. All the little birdies on Jaybird Street love to hear the robin going peep, peep, peep. Rockin' Robin. Rockin' Robin. Oh, Rockin' Robin, I was really gonna rock tonight. You come in with that name on purpose, just to disrupt things, Rockin' Robin. I know you do. Okay. All right, so you got to see this one. Oh, yeah. Okay. Tweet. There you go. Okay, here we go. I got to get out of the music now. It's in my head. Okay. So I did do a lot of soul searching about whether to cover this topic or not, because I didn't want it to be like I'm pointing a finger at someone. Okay. So that I want to just say that up front. Everyone is innocent until proven guilty in a court of law. Everyone, even Richard Allen, as obnoxious and awful as that is to say, only a court of law can say this person's guilty or whatever. Now, that doesn't stop us from having a human reaction, right? We can pretty much all recognize when something looks unusual. And the fact that you've got nearly an entire YouTube community talking about this tells me, hey, I must not be the only one feeling a little bit odd and uncomfortable about this. And so I decided that I wanted to, there's a multi-pronged approach in this video. And on the one hand, I want to address the discomfort with Jeremy Reagan. And Jeremy Reagan is the next door neighbor of the Idaho 4. Okay. What is so significant? The reason that there's a lot of things that make me uncomfortable with Jeremy, but I think the big hook, the thing that finally made me go, okay, now I've gone from just being a little uncomfortable to we may need to hire a private investigator to take a trip to Idaho, right? Was this. He comes out, he's doing yet again another interview. The man, I don't know how many times he's been interviewed. I really don't. I don't know. He's been on Long Crime TV. He's done interviews with News Nation. He's been on YouTube channels. I mean, he's making the rounds. And can I just say this? Since his first interview up to his latest interview, he's completely changed his personality. His demeanor and his affect have been completely modified. It's kind of creepy. And I think he was reacting. I think he would go on a channel or a news interview, and then he would watch to see what people were saying about him, and then he would modify whatever it was that they were talking about. And Danny to me says, unfortunately, people make assumptions and can make a person guilty in a kangaroo court. Agreed, 100%. And there are multiple cases that I can think of through the years, Danny, that exactly that happened, right? And so that was one of the reasons that I just kept thinking, I know everybody's talking about it. I know he's out there. He has done so many interviews. And I just kept thinking, no, not going to mention it, not going to mention it. And then when this topic came up, then I said, okay, now I've got to. At this point, now I have to. I don't want to be a kangaroo court. I'm not trying to convince anyone. It's the exact opposite. I'm trying to shine a spotlight on what all of us can rightfully see, right? What we're rightfully reacting to and why maybe it feels so unusual. And this was the thing that got me. The thing that kind of tipped me over and said, no, I'm going to make a video on Jeremy Reagan, was when he spoke about the backyard of this house that's up on the screen right now. This house, and he talked about what is behind it. There's a yard with, there's woods, and then even back behind that, there's a road. But to the side and back behind it is a parking lot. And that parking lot is for his apartment building where he lives. This is, he said, he rightfully said on his own, without prompt, he said that that is where he takes his little dog to go to the bathroom. Sometimes he does take the dog on a walk. He talked about that as well. He will walk by and he would look into the windows of the Idaho 4, the house there, and he would always see people there. Just about every night's what he said, just about every night. But in another place in the interview, he said that he'll take his little dog back there. And I thought, okay, well, now this is getting very uncomfortable. Now this is getting to a situation that you think maybe the cops need to bring, question him. Right? So at that point, then I said, well, there could be more than just a, hey, we live on the same street relationship. And when I say there could have been more than just a we live on the same street relationship, I don't mean that they've got a friendship. I don't mean that there was any kind of romantic liaison. That's not what I'm talking about. I mean, even where I live, I walk outside. Some of my neighbors, we stand around and we talk a long time about things. I have other neighbors that are further down the road that we have never spoken a word to each other. And with what he's describing, it is a possibility, maybe a slight possibility, but there's a possibility that he could have had at least a passing conversation with one of these 4. Correct? So that, I think that absolutely merits attention. Out of that whole apartment building, he's the only person that came out and said, me, choose me, pick me, I'll do the interview. And even as he began to, hey, Elizabeth Gregory, welcome. Hi, AB, thank you for being here. Stop taunting the jury pool, tainting the jury pool. So even as he began to get negative feedback from these interviews that he's doing, he continues to do them, and they get weirder. And when he said that about this area back behind their house, and he's describing what it's like behind their house, he's describing what he's seeing inside of their house, and he can't quit talking about it. And I said, you know what? He's made himself a public figure at this point. He's made himself a public figure, right? All right. Now then, so that's what I want to talk about. And the second part of this is that there was a FBI agent that came out a couple of days ago and started bringing up this issue. And I don't particularly like this label. Okay. I don't like this particular label, but this is what the FBI agent said. Okay. That, the cops should be looking at the possibility for incels. And incels are people that are involuntarily celibate. Put it another way, people that are, maybe socially awkward, struggling to find relationship with a peer, somebody in their age group or whatever. And, you know, it's a terrible, well, they own it. First of all, let me say this. I don't know why I'm trying to be sensitive about it, because there are discussion boards all over the internet where these group of incels, I'm not going to say that, wicked stitches, you're trying to get me in trouble. There are plenty of discussion boards and communities all over the internet where this group of people, generally young men, sometimes women, but generally young men, where they congregate and they have formed a army, basically, and they basically hate everybody else. So if you're an attractive young woman going to college, a sorority girl or whatever, or a fraternity guy, then these incels own the fact that they hate you. They don't like you. They think it's unfair that you get all the girls or you get all the guys and they can't get any attention. And if you go into those discussion boards, it can be a little bit chilling because they can be quite violent in their discussions. To put it more specific, Elliot Rogers is their poster boy. They love Elliot. Elliot was like a freedom fighter for the incel group. So that kind of gives you some insight into how much animosity can begin to stir and bubble for people that are really hungry to be part of the mainstream social fabric, and they just can't figure out how to do it. They feel like they are, on the outside looking in. And I kept thinking about how Jeremy, and please don't, I'm not saying that Jeremy Reagan is an incel. No, he's an attractive guy. There's no doubt he has a partner. That's not what I'm saying. But I was talking about how he seemed to be really focused on what was going on around that house, what was there at the house, how many people were at the house, what were the activities of the house. It just seemed he maybe had a little bit, seemed like maybe he had a fair amount of interest in the lives of the people in that house. If you agree with me about that, if you've been following the saga of Jeremy Reagan and you agree that he seems to know, he seemed to have had an interest in the girls, put a 1. If you think that I see this wrong, that I'm inaccurate in my views, put a 2. Cooper Cool. Welcome, Cooper Cool. Hey, Miss Mad Miss Hatter. Hey, Donna D. Mama Mo, welcome. Sundown Farms. Okay, so so I'm not the only one. Hey, Water Dog. Daisy Sunshine, welcome. Hey, Nancy S. Okay, so and Elizabeth Gregner chooses the third option, which is maybe not. Okay. Denise chose the third option as well. That's okay. Okay. All right. So that is where I'm at in this video. Okay. I think that the attention on Jeremy Reagan, combined with the number of interviews that he has done, I think it makes it a fair topic of conversation for a YouTube video. And I think that the FBI's comments on the police should now start considering the chance of a rage killing. And that FBI agent specifically, mentioned the incel group. And certainly the FBI understands those boards. They know when I talk about reading those boards and seeing the level of violent imagery, the level of hate and animosity that they have towards females in general, um, the FBI understands that the people writing those comments, that they're real people. And so my first video that I did on Idaho 4, I talked about psychopathic deviancy and a serial killer or a spree killer. I talked about it from the point of view of a true victim crime, where the victim doesn't know the killer, but the killer may have studied the victims and followed them and taken even as much as a year to plan out what they would do to them when they finally got it, finally got their act of violence that they are so hungry for. I talked about what could have happened with Idaho 4 from a psychopathic deviancy point of view, where you've got a budding serial killer. Maybe it's somebody new, maybe it's not someone who's got a lot of kills underneath his belt, but the fact that the Buddy the dog, the Australian Shepherd, who was less than 3 miles from these young ladies' home, the fact that he had a horrendous level of torture, but it was done with surgical precision. It almost implicates, it almost ties Buddy to the original Idaho 4. And I drew the parallel to Jeffrey Dahmer, this special that's been running on Netflix, and that it's possible that the Jeffrey Dahmer series, the series, could have triggered a person that was really hungry to kill, that had that deviancy playing out, but they were using distraction. They were maybe using fantasy to try to control their urges. And then when they watched the Dahmer series, that was enough to push them over the edge that they really wanted to try something real world. And that was why they tried the dog. And they more or less kind of practiced on the dog. And that then led them to actually pulling the trigger and doing what they did, at the house, the Idaho 4 house. That was one part of psychopathy. That was one possibility. The other possibility is this idea of a rage killing. When the cops talk about this being targeted, I think that we, the public, I think that we're misreading that term. I think we are jumping to conclusions and thinking, well, if the cops say targeted, it must mean they knew each other, knowing them in terms of, oh, they had a relationship together. Absolutely not. You can have someone a killer who targets a victim by simply beginning to study them, follow them, watch them. And so from the point of view of forensic psychology, the perpetrator is in a relationship with the victim. Sometimes, think about the movie, not Photography. What was it with Robin Williams, where he was doing the photographs at the Walgreens, and then he started going into the people's house and thought that he became part of their family. He was having a lot of fantasy and whatnot. The people had no idea that he was doing that. They had no idea that he had developed a fixation on them and that he was fantasizing and daydreaming about being a part of their day-to-day real lives. But from the perspective of the perpetrator, he absolutely was having a relationship in a delusional state. And so I think when the cops talk about, in the case of the Idaho 4, I think when the cops talk about it being a targeted killing, I don't think that they said, oh, I'm going to go get Xana or I'm going to go get Kaylee. I think when they say it was targeted, they mean no, the perpetrator, there was a focus of the perpetrator's attention. Just like in the Delphi killings with Abby and Libby, one of those girls was tortured and violated in a horrible way before she was killed. The other girl was not. It was almost like she was humanely set aside, out of the way. So in that situation, you would say she was targeted. Not that they were friends, and not that Libby and this man were friends and Libby did something to make him angry. In a psychopathic, weird, delusional state, he thought he had a relationship with one of them. He was targeting them for a reason. So that's what I'm thinking about when I think about this whole incel comment by the FBI and the killings. What if it was not a serial killer per se? What if it was not a budding young, Ted Bundy or Jeffrey Dahmer? But it was someone who was, there's no doubt whoever did it was filled with rage. There's no doubt that whomever did this was very, very angry. And when you think about, and I think that's the reason the FBI agent brought up not Elliot Rogers, brought up the whole incel factor, is because they understand and they know that this incel kind of subculture on the internet, that they can be very violent in their fantasies and in their jokes, the things that they say to one another. And Elliot Rogers was their poster boy. They loved Elliot. He was their freedom fighter. He was the guy that was, avenging their celibacy and saying, yeah, put it to them. It's wrong that they won't, the pretty girls won't fall in love with us. And so on May the 23rd in 2014, a 22-year-old Elliot Roger who grew up in the lap of luxury. He grew up in a very wealthy home. His dad was a director in Hollywood. They lived in Santa Barbara. He had every financial advantage and social ladder that any person would have needed in a capitalistic society to succeed. But he became very focused on his virginity. He became very focused on the fact that none of the girls had any physical attraction toward him. Now then, the death, interesting, his killing spree actually started against his roommates. And this kind of gets left out. And I think part of the reason that it gets left out is because the incel groups who kind of adopted Elliot Rogers' image, his persona, to characterize them, it doesn't make sense. Their whole bit of anger is, we're smart, we're accomplished, maybe we're not handsome and beautiful, but the popular kids should let us be a part of the social fabric. The popular kids should like us too. We shouldn't be judged for our physical appearance or the way we walk or talk or whatever, right? So they hold Elliot Rogers up as their guy to say, be nice to us or look what could happen. So the fact that Rogers actually stabbed his 3 roommates to death before he went after the girls, that part kind of gets set aside. And again, I'm thinking about the violence of the attack in the house and how many people were killed so quickly and apparently with ease, with a knife. Well, Elliot Rogers did it. He did it with his roommates, with 3 guys. And Elliot wasn't a big guy. He wasn't a big, he wasn't all muscled up and everything. So Elliot was very angry about not having love, not having romance, being a virgin. And he really was furious with the female. The form. He hated any female that was walking around. You got to wonder, did he kill his roommates because they knew what his plan was? Were they threatening to turn him in? I don't know. But he used a knife and he stabbed and killed them before he got in his car and he went to the sorority house. He got to the sorority house where he shot 3 women. One of the women survived. 2 of them died. He then went past a deli where he shot a male student to death. So even though this supposedly his whole manifesto is all about how females don't love him, he's a virgin, he killed a lot of men too. God, young college age guys. Hold on 1 minute. Okay, sorry about that. And so he shot the male student that was in the deli, and then he drove through Isla Vista, shooting people who were walking down, as well as running people over with his car. He then exchanged gunfire with the police. The police ended up shooting him in the hip, and he ended up crashing his car into a parked vehicle. And before the police could actually reach him and get to him, he sent himself a one-way ticket to hell by putting a bullet in his head. So before Rogers it took 3 hours from the time that he killed his roommates with a knife to the time that he shows up at the sorority house was 3 hours. And during that 3 hour period, he uploaded a video to YouTube, and it was called Elliot Rogers Retribution. And that is how we know so much about what he was thinking as he was planning or preparing to go and do the things that he had done. So hold on just a minute and let me get this video up, and we'll watch just a tiny bit of it, not much of it. Hey, Gojo. Hey, Caldonia, welcome. All right, share screen, share system audio. And here we go. All right. My little dog is barking. I think my husband's home. Okay, so let's watch just a minute of Bad Boy Elliot, the Incels Prince, and let's just kind of get a picture of Elliot. Is he a perfectly normal, regular guy with good social skills, or can you see where his manner might be a bit off-putting? So let's listen.
Those years I've had to rot in loneliness. It's not fair. You girls have never been attracted to me. I don't know why you girls aren't attracted to me, but I will punish you all for it. It's an injustice, a crime, because I don't know what you don't see in me. I'm the perfect guy. And yet you throw yourselves at all these obnoxious men instead of me, the supreme gentleman.
Okay. Can anyone say narcissist?
I will punish all of you for it. On the day of retribution, I am going to enter the hottest sorority house of UCSB. And I will slaughter every single spoiled, stuck-up, blonde slut I see inside there. All those girls that I've desired so much, they would have all rejected me and looked down upon me as an inferior man if I ever made a sexual advance towards them, while they throw themselves at these obnoxious brutes.
Okay, I think that's my favorite part. The whole obnoxious brute thing as my husband walks as my husband walks into the door. Um this whole obnoxious brute thing, meaning regular guys, right? But college athletes, um, guys that are just going to class to get their degree and playing sports. And he loves to talk about their gross muscles. And this is a kid who is really suffering. He was really in a lot of trouble. Not only was he quite delusional and, yes, narcissistic, um, he was incredibly lonely. There were a lot of people that came out after this whole thing happened, and the dad is a director in Hollywood. Um, and so this kid grew up, you know, going to dinner parties with actors and actresses and lots of money around them. They had this big giant mansions, and a lot of these people spoke out afterwards, and they said, you know, it Elliot Rogers was the loneliest person I had ever known. But but there's no guilt to carry. You can listen to the way that he spoke to people, and you could understand what was happening, that he was not able to develop an appropriate same, you know, peer group friendship, much less a romantic, you know, relationship. So you also can hear the amount of hate that is in his voice. These incels, you know, they get made fun of in a lot of movies and whatnot. But here's what you guys got to realize: when people are ostracized and they're marginalized and they're not allowed to be a contributing member of a group, they feel those negative feelings just as intently as you or I do. And we're much better off to try and take people like Elliot and try to teach them social skills. They can learn them, but you present it like it's a classroom lesson, right? Like it's an academic lesson. But if it's presented in that way, they can practice it and they can master it so that their social interactions become more neurotypical, right? Which helps to find a group of friends. Now, it's very interesting to me. He did have friends. He had these 3 roommates. They were all quite brilliant. They were all doing very, very well in college. They were at the top of their high school classes. They were in STEM type of programs, whether it was science or math or engineering. And he turned the knife on his friends. Isn't that interesting? That he's so hungry for human connection. He wants so badly to be part of a group. And yet the group he's with, he somehow finds them deficient. But that is typical of a narcissist. The narcissist will end up hating the very people that accept them and love them, because the narcissist knows, hey, there's something wrong with me. And they'll look at the person that loves them and say, wow, well, what's wrong with you that you would love someone like me? It's a really messed up point of view, but you know, it causes a lot of problems. So he did kill the people that were his group first, but then he ultimately did succeed in terms of taking out his act of vengeance before he killed his friends first. Then he killed the girls who were his real targets. He killed one guy in a deli. Makes me think perhaps it might have been like perhaps it might have been like one of the fraternity guys that he was familiar with. And then everybody else were complete and total strangers. What does this mean? Just throw on some glasses. Oh, some cool glasses. Yeah, well, of course you got to have some cool glasses. Yeah, glasses help everything. You know what I mean? Ray-Bans. Okay. All right. So the next thing that I want to go to, and I'm getting to Jeremy Reagan. Just give me time. I'll get there. All right. I know you guys have all seen these schematics. These are the blueprint, or not true blueprint, but diagrams for the inside of the Idaho 4's house. And I wanted to take just 2 seconds very quickly and show this. This is likely where he came into the house. Well, that's wrong. There we go. This is the back patio, right? This would be the road on the side. Whoops. This would be the road on the side of the house. The apartment where Jeremy Reagan lives is over here. So he would have like a view into the backyard. Y'all with me? Notice where the patio is, both this one and the second or third story patio, balcony. And if he were to take a walk this way and then down the front, he would be able to see into those windows. So not only did he have a bird's eye view to that dark little forested area that he called a backyard, there was a parking lot for the apartments, and then this was his apartment building here. This is the front of the house this way. All right. So I agree with everybody. I think he went into the sliding glass doors, and we know that because it was open. It was standing wide open when they got there. I think he went there, and he just circled right around to the nearest area. Right, went straight up those stairs. Now these stairs that over here, they go downstairs to the first floor where the two young women that survived the attack, where they live, where their bedrooms are. So it's not unusual a bit if you kind of try to put your mind, if you try to put yourself into the shoes of the perpetrator, if you're sneaking and you're a little bit scared or worried, you come in and you know who you're looking for, you know who's upstairs, you can see in through the windows, you know which bedroom you want to go to, you know which one you're looking for. There's the stairs. First thing you see when you walk in the door, and up you go. Then when you get up, then you come up the stairs, and now you're facing out. If you were looking out a window, you'd be looking at the front, the drive, where all the kids park their cars, where the front road is, looking toward the fraternity house. Right? So he comes up here. If the girls, Maddie and Kaylee, if they were sleeping in this room over here, they were sleeping together. And no, y'all, that's not weird. I've heard people being, saying, oh, they were lovers. They were college kids. They were best friends from childhood. They were just hanging out, having fun. They were probably laughing and giggling as they were on their phone, both of them annoying Jack, calling him over and over again. They fell asleep in bed. Girls do that all the time. It's nothing. It's not weird. It's nothing. So if they were found here, I would be even more worried about the apartment building over here. But if they were over here, then I'm a little bit less worried because you don't have the window access, right? But if the girls were found in this room, that's a little worrisome to me if I'm putting myself in the mind of the perpetrator. How would the perpetrator have known to go directly to this one unless he could maybe see inside the windows? Okay. Now, if they were found over here, then no harm, no foul, kind of just a fact of life. I don't know. It's a much bigger room. It's got the access to the balcony. I don't know. Do y'all know who was living in which room? Does anybody know, like, which one was Kaylee's? Kaylee had moved, so there was no bed in her room. There you go. Thank you, Wake Up. So was Kaylee's room the one with the balcony? Water loving dog is looking for a dowel. Do we know? She named a neighbor from a specific house. Who did SSS? Kaylee's room was the balcony. Interesting. Okay. So if Kaylee's room was the balcony, and Kaylee was moving to Austin, right? She had gotten her a good job. She had just gotten her a new car. She was starting her adult life, right? So if she didn't have a bed in here, if she had already moved out and she had just gone to show her new car, her Range Rover, to her best friend, Maddie, then that would seem to indicate that the two girls were sleeping in Maddie's bedroom. Would y'all agree? So that's interesting. All right. Remember, I'm going to say it again. This is Wild Speculation Friday. So these are only my thoughts, not reality, not facts. Don't repeat them as facts. This is me thinking. And I admit it, sometimes my brain is a dark and scary place. All right. When I saw the diagram of the main floor, it did make things easy for me to comprehend how this could have happened. Sneaking in, and you're really only downstairs moments, right? It's just almost a straight shot up to the stairway. He didn't have to like walk all the way across the living room and whatnot. So straight in, up the stairs, a target in mind, knowing exactly what he wanted to do, knowing which room he needed to be in. That was done first. And then once he was finished upstairs, he comes back down. And as he's coming down, Ethan is coming out of the room, maybe to get water, maybe to go to the bathroom. Maybe he heard something. And I think that is when the fight happened. I think he encountered Ethan first. And then, of course, Xana was alerted. And then she fought back. And that's how they ended up. And then he was back out the door. And I think he had a path of egress. I think he planned it. I think he was very angry. He was filled with rage, and he was plotting his revenge. Somehow, some way, one of those two girls did something against him. For Elliot Rogers, it was simply the pretty girls wouldn't give him the time of day. They wouldn't date him. Now, one of the things we saw, hold on 1 minute. Okay. So the majority of us, let me ask this way. If you guys, okay, there is video, at the Grubhub, right, where Maddie and Kaylee are, and a guy that we have had people suggest, I'm talking about Hoodie Guy, that Hoodie Guy is with them and that he is a neighbor. And we've also been told that his name is Jack, but we have a lot of Jacks. We have some Jacks, we have some Jakes, we have some Jeremys, we have a Jewel, okay? We have a JoJo. We got lots of days, okay? If you watch the Grubhub video carefully, you got to watch closely and you got to listen. At one point, the girl, they order their food, and then they move over to the next window. Oh, we have a Joe. I forgot about Joe. They move over to the next window, which is the window where they're going to receive their food. They're waiting for their number to be called. And Joe Vidot, or Vido, or however he pronounces it, he's waiting on his food. There's a lot of people there. They're all waiting on their food to be called. And Maddie's kind of playing around. Maddie was incredibly intoxicated. She was very, very drunk. Very drunk. Kaylee was not. She looked like she was sober as a church mouse. Okay. So Maddie's drunk. She's leaned up against the Grubhub, probably because things are spinning. And every now and then they'd call up a number and she'd pretend to grab the food. And you can watch her. She's talking to the guy inside and he's kind of giving her a hard time. And she's going, oh, I'm hungry. I want food, blah, blah, blah. And they're kind of playing and she's wanting food. But something very interesting happens at one point. At one point, she turns around and Joe Vito and Hoodie Guy are talking together. They're laughing together, making jokes together, and having fun. Maddie turns to Joe and she points at him and she says something to him, and I can't make it out. But here's what I do know she says. I hear it loud and clear. She says to him, F you. She said it plain as day. So she looks at Joe and she says, F you. And Joe, you can see he's sort of taken back. Like he kind his head kind of comes back and he kind of looks at her like, what the H, What are you talking about? He does respond to her. He does say something. You saw that, Miss Hatter. Okay, good. So if you saw the part where Maddie says F you, put a 1. If you did not see it, put a 2, and then that'll let me know I need to show the video. But I'm not going to show it in this video. I'll do it later. I'm not going to do it right now because we're already like, I don't know, an hour into this video and I'm not even halfway done. The guy in all black is weird too, as is that guy who leaned onto her at the pickup window. Okay, so we need to show it. We're going to do that later on. Okay, big ups and wake up. Let me finish this topic, and then I'm going to have to take a dinner break because I got some people coming over. And then later on tonight, I'll come back and I'll have the video and we'll show it and we'll look at where she tells Joe F you, his reaction being a bit off, odd. And I mean, I would not be happy if somebody said that to me as well. So I'm not saying he did anything out of line. I'm just saying he's noticeably affected when she says it. It's weird, right? So I'll be back to show that, but I don't want to take time out to do it here. Okay. So she says F you. He kind of reacts. Hoodie Guy standing there. There's this moment, and then it's almost like the girls have I've done it. I was there once upon a time in my life. Like you walk up, the guy that's making your drink or fixing your food or whatever is standing there and you're like, oh my God, please help me. I have this creepo guy following me. I can't get away from him. Please just, can you help me? Like, just give me my food so we can just like run and go get in the truck with our friend and I'll come by tomorrow and I'll pay it. But this guy's stalking me. I'm freaked out. Then generally the guy's working will be like, of course, go, take your food, go, and then they don't call your number out. They don't like draw attention. They're just like, here it is. Now y'all scoot along before he notices. Right. And that's what it looked like to me. And Joe actually points out, he says, hey, they just left you. So the people working did not call out their number. They did not say, hey, your food's up. It was like, here it is, go. And it's notable, again, from a girl's perspective, it's notable because Kaylee stands back and documents the moment. Did y'all notice that? She takes a video or a photograph of Maddie getting the food and then them scurrying off, to the guy that's waiting on them. And I think I know who the guy is that was waiting on them, but we'll do that later on tonight when we show the video. So, so then Hoodie Guy walks over to where they are, and I think he waved at them when he saw that they were with other people. He waved, but then when he turns to walk away, he's walking with purpose. Right. Wake up. He's walking away very quickly, very determined. And that is notable to me. All right. Okay, so that's some background that is important in what I'm about to show you now. Let me see if there was anything else I wanted to draw attention to. I don't think so. Oh, I have one more video of Elliot. Elliot Rogers, creepo extraordinaire. Here we go. Just let this play just a little tiny bit. Just get you more insight into just how serious this is when you have someone who is harboring so much hate and they become delusional and lose touch with reality, just how messed up those thoughts can be and how much damage they can act in their rage. It's very frightening.
Looks like a video that Elliot Rodger was going to release on YouTube, but decided not to. You can tell it's been partially scripted and that he's trying to do the same character that he does in his Retribution video, but his normal side keeps coming through and he doesn't get it quite.
Hey, Elliot Rodger here. I'm sitting in my car, making another entry in my collection of vlogs. Today I want to talk about the kind of men that girls are attracted to. You see, ever since I hit puberty, I've wanted girls, I've desired girls, I've been sexually attracted to girls, but they've never shown any attraction back to me. And during that time, I've tried to question why. Why aren't they attracted to me? Even though during the last 2 years I've tried really hard to appear as attractive as possible and to be as attractive as possible. And I've often made theories of the kind of guys that girls really are attracted to. After going to college for 2.5 years and see,
You want to know what the simplest answer is to that, and this isn't just what kind of guys attract, what kind of guys do girls like, but it's also true of what kind of girls do guys like. It works both directions. It's not a big secret, but people have a hard time accepting the simplicity of it, and that is, um, people are attracted to people that make them laugh. They're attracted to people that make them feel good. People they have fun with. That's about as simple of an explanation as it is. Now, are there subtle details? Of course there are. Absolutely, no doubt. But but the point of saying that is he's so delusional and so confused that he's paying attention to his haircut, getting a tan, wearing expensive clothes, driving a cool car. And he hasn't stopped not for a minute to consider, am I relaxed? Do I put other people at ease? Do I laugh? Am I lighthearted? Can I have fun? Do I treat people well and say nice things to them? And you can just listen to the content of his thought to recognize, no, it's all about Elliot. When he would try to talk to a girl, he would try to tell them how great he was, how special he was, how his dad was a special Hollywood mogul, and how he had all this money, and how he would buy them all these things. And the girls were just like, ooh, what? No, we want to go with people that are fun. Let's go have fun. So,
seeing all of the horrific sights I've seen there, mainly all of the young couples walking about, the guys who actually have the hot girls, I've concluded that females have a very flawed and perverted form of sexual attraction.
This awkward smile he does when he says sexual attraction is interesting. He's shy and he's uncomfortable talking about sex. This was something he wrote about in his manifesto. He talks about being disgusted by pornography and shocked that people could do such things with each other. Again, this is at odds with the confident character he wanted to portray.
Like every time I drive around the area of my college, or just walking through my college, I see that all of the beautiful girls go for the big, obnoxious, boisterous, beefy jock types. It's the same in high school, though I never, thankfully, got to experience the brutality of high school because I was homeschooled for 10th, 11th, and 12th grade.
So here he is. He's already socially awkward. He's not doing very well with his peer group. I'm sure that his parents were were trying to protect him, right? I'm sure his parents were thinking, we don't want him to have to go to school and get his feelings hurt. So let's just do homeschooling. He'll get a better quality of education anyway. But if he's not able to manage socially at school, he's not going to get any opportunity to practice social skills if he's alone at home again with all adults. So he had so many things working against him. And when I say working against him, I mean at odds with what his developmental phase, the level of maturation in his brain, that his developmental phase was pushing him toward, hey, it's time to date. It's time to see what, the opposite, well, what sexual attraction and love is all about. While physically he's being driven to do that, he has gotten, his developmental sequence has gotten so disrupted. He's only been around adults. The adults that he has been around have been very self-absorbed and narcissistic Hollywood types of people living in a bubble of great wealth and fame. He has no idea who he is. He describes himself by the way he looks and the things that he possesses. And then he objectifies women and says, I deserve to have a hot girl, a beautiful girl, but they won't have me. They will only go with the obnoxious brutes, these beasts of men, talking about normal guys, right? And that he couldn't understand why the girls would rather be around these normal guys that are just having fun, acting stupid, playing football, or going dancing. Why would the girls want that when they could have him with his wealth, the right car, the right clothes, the good haircut? His body was at the proper level of development in line with his brain maturation. His social skills were quite delayed, but then he had been exposed to all this sick adult shallow type of lifestyle. He just had no way. He had nothing stable to work with. He didn't know who he was. He didn't know where he fit in. He was angry. And because he objectified women as the source of that anger, they got to experience the brunt of it. Now, he killed his friends too. You can't forget that, which I think is it's kind of poetic, right? But his manifesto was, I hate girls. I mean, that was kind of the whole driving force. Now then, so after all that being said, now I want to turn to Jeremy Reagan. He's across the street toward the back. He can see the backyard of Kaylee and Maddie's house. He looks in their windows, admittedly. He looks in their windows. Admittedly, he can tell you how many nights they were having parties, how many people were inside of their house. He knows a lot about them. He was very interested in what was going on at that house. That doesn't mean he did anything. Doesn't mean he did anything wrong. We have a house close by where I live. There's a lot of weird things going on at that house. We kind of watch it and chuckle and think, that's different, right? So please don't get me wrong. It doesn't mean that he did anything, right? And Lil Boo Boo is saying that Jeremy Reagan has been ruled out by law enforcement. I did not see that. I did not see that, Lil Boo Boo. I feel so silly saying that. I think it's someone playing a joke on me, but nevertheless, I don't think I've seen that. Boo Boo, I'm gonna call you Bubba. I did not see that, Bubba. In fact, that would be pretty strange if the cops came out and ruled out Jeremy Reagan. And the reason that would be strange is because they didn't even interview him. They didn't interview him, Bubba. They didn't interview him. So you can say what you want to. How or why would they rule him out when all they did was to say, hey, we're investigating a homicide over here. Do you have any cameras? Did you see anything or hear anything? Okay, well, here's my phone number. Give us a call if you think of anything. And then they moved to the next door. That is Jeremy Reagan's words. That's by his own report, Bubba. So, go somewhere else to troll. Now then. No, the person that I'm calling Bubba is the person going by Lil Boo Boo. And I have a hard time calling people Lil Boo Boo. I can't do it. I'm a country girl. I can manage Bubba. They also said people like you targeting him need to stop. I'll find it for you. No one's targeting him, Bubba. I don't know why you say I'm targeting him. I am not targeting him. You would be wrong about that. Now then, let me continue. All right. So he has done all these interviews, even when he began to get quite a bit of backlash online, negative reaction to these interviews and whatnot. He continued to do the interviews, which is a bit curious. And he said some things that were inconsistent. He said quite a bit that was inconsistent. Okay. Okay. Yeah. So Lil Boo Boo is going to be calm because Lil Boo Boo just got herself blocked. And in case you're curious, Bubba, the thing that is cruel is not a public commentary opinion on a guy that's done 7 or 8 different interviews. But what is cruel is the way that those 4 people died. That is what is cruel. You're very confused in your vocabulary. And your hyperbole has no power here. So move along. Now then, so this young man he's very intelligent. He's I believe a 3rd year law student. and he's, you know, been long graduated, long removed from the college co-ed Greek lifestyle. One would expect that he's a really good student, correct? I mean, you would just guess that he's a really great student. He has a dog. In fact, a lot of what he said about the Idaho 4 were the result of him walking his dog, the things that he would see as he's walking his dog, right? And he has impeccable grooming. I would agree with Big Ups. He has impeccable grooming. He's a handsome guy, no question about it. He's a very handsome guy. And so try to put yourself in his shoes for a minute. We all know what those undergraduate kids are like. We know what the Greek world is like. You either love them or you hate them, correct? And well, hold on. Why do you say that, Wake Up? In fact, I think I'll put a link. No, wait. Invite. Copy. Okay, Wake Up. If you want to come up on panel and explain why you say that being a law student is a red flag. Oh, you're just kidding. Okay, sorry. Okay. And so try to put yourself in his shoes. He's a third-year law student. He's been outside of the, you know, mainstream kind of campus stuff for quite a while. And yes, he does like to talk, Black Rose. I would agree with you. Thank you so much for the super chat, because you know this video is not getting monetized. YouTube has completely turned their back on true crime in terms of monetization. So thank you. Your super chat is very, very appreciated. So, can you imagine that you're living in a neighborhood? Now we've seen how close those houses are together, right? I mean, we've been watching we've all seen the same videos. Houses are all very, very close together. They're all full of young college, you know, undergraduates, because you just got to walk basically right across the street and you're just about on campus. And so there's a lot of people there that are Greek, they're undergraduates, and maybe they're not all studious and quiet in the evening. You know, we've already seen Maddie. She at least for that one night, she is definitely tying it on. And maybe she's grieving because her best friend and sister is moving to Austin, Texas. I mean, maybe that's why she was in that condition. Maybe she was just sad that her friend was leaving. I mean, we've all been there. It's pretty devastating when you're that young. So, so that brings us up to this moment. Okay. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to play a video that I uploaded today. And it's a video that is for the channel subscriber members. It's a video for channel members. And I made it before I made the decision to cover this issue with Jeremy Reagan. And then as I kept my mouth quiet over the past week and I watched more and more people responding and feeling uncomfortable, and now we have law enforcement commenting about Jeremy Reagan, and now in the last few days we know that Jeremy has given a DNA sample, and you have to remember that, please. He has given his DNA. Everybody is innocent unless a court of law deems them guilty. Talking about him here and having a reaction to the many videos of interviews that he's done in no way means that he has done anything wrong, anything. So please keep that straight in your head, okay? And like I said, I think he's probably a really interesting person. He's very confident. He seems to be a a bit over controlled sometimes with the whole emotional affect thing, but that's, some people are, you know. So let me share my video. Where is it? There it is. And the name of this pre-recorded video that is for members only, that I decided to use as part of this live, I called it Through the Window. Through the Window. Now, as we go through this, I'm going to be stopping the video to talk because I want to describe what I'm referring to in the video. It may not be readily apparent because it's all just, you know, text. So Through the Window, Jeremy Reagan describes his relationship with the Idaho 4.
And ever since this incident happened, you know, I used to see people out in the field across from the apartment complex just playing with their dogs. But then after this happened, it seems kind of like a ghost town. The only people I really see are police and media.
Now, I also want to say this, I forgot. I also blurred this because I just didn't want it to be like, oh, we can easily recognize who he is, you know. So I did a couple of different things to try to kind of obscure what he might actually look like in real life. That's why it looks a bit funny.
So it's just really strange that everyone in that neighborhood is sort of left for Thanksgiving early or just left for the rest of the semester or whatever their plans were. It's just odd to see that it's only police and media in there.
Now, I want to point out, because this is going to be important later on in the film, in the video. This is not the first interview that he did. This is like the third, I think the third interview. So he's already done a couple interviews. He's already begun to see the negative feedback. And one of the first things that people were saying about the negative feedback was, why is he laughing? Like, what's he smiling about? He reminds me of Chris Watts. Why? Now we can see he's heavily modified that. And apparently fairly easily.
Around there at this point. Yeah, so around noon on the Sunday that it happened, we all got the vandal alert to sort of stay sheltered in place. And then about an hour or two after that, an officer came by and went door to door along the front row of apartments, at least where I live, and just asked if we had any footage or if we had seen anything the night before, if we had heard anything. And that's the only contact I've had so far was just that one time that the officer came by. Most part.
Okay, so Lil Boo Boo. Lil Boo Boo. He says it in this video. He said it in the first video. He said it in multiple videos. The cops did not interview him. The cops did not consider him a person of interest. The cops did not look at him and say, there's a witness. I don't believe the cops looked at him and said, oh, look, there's a potential perpetrator. So why in the world would they rule him out? So no, you would be wrong, Lil Bubba.
So what you can see is behind the house, there's that little wooded hill there. For the most part, it's houses and apartments, other than that little area right there.
Also, remember, there's that wooded area behind there that's very dark at night. Very, very dark. No lighting at all. And then if you go on back and up a hill, then you're on a highway. So you got a path of egress and regress. If it's someone that's completely outside of that community area, maybe somebody from a hometown, you know, a contract killer, I don't know, a serial killer, then they would have had access but still have cover. So I think that's really important.
I definitely don't feel comfortable. I'm not necessarily as scared because the cops said that it seems like a targeted, isolated incident, and I sort of believe that based on the fact that two of the people in the house were unharmed. I definitely don't feel comfortable. I definitely don't feel comfortable. I definitely don't feel comfortable.
Now, to me, you know, that's interesting
Sort
that
of.
he smiles, you know, when he says that he doesn't feel comfortable, and that, you know, that kind of says he means it. He really is feeling discomfort. And I'm a bit curious about that. I mean, this was very early on that this interview happened. So what's got him feeling so uncomfortable? If he believes the cops that it was targeted, and he thinks that someone had a personal vendetta, that it wasn't some kind of like rage killer, serial killer kind of thing, then why feel uncomfortable? He does point out, remember, he talks about how strange it is that nobody's there in town, that people have left. And if you go back to my first video that I made with the Idaho 4, I talk about that. I talk about the excitement of finally getting your first kill. Not Jeremy Reagan. I'm talking about the first video I made where I was talking about a new budding serial killer that could have been triggered by the Jeffrey Dahmer series. That there would be a great deal of excitement, and you would, you know, a lot of these guys will try to go back to the scene of the crime. They'll watch all of the news specials and read all the newspapers about the crime. They'll try to insert themselves and like try to meet like the family members of the victim, or they'll call the cops and ask questions, and they want the crime is the relationship. And so you feel bonded to your victim. And so once the victim is gone, then the only way to still get connection to that excitement is either the investigators or the family members or friends, right? And so they'll try to insert themselves and get close to that again. And in that video, I was talking about this phenomenon, and I said, can you imagine if it is a budding, brand new, you know, serial killer just getting started, how disappointing it would be to them for everybody to be gone. All of the students are gone. There's nobody afraid walking around town. There's nobody afraid of you. You can't sit at McDonald's and listen to the people in the next booth talk about the monster that took the lives of these sweet people. It would be frustrating in terms of the mechanism for this type of killer. It would be very frustrating that everybody went home. He wouldn't like that a bit. He would feel denied.
Left for Thanksgiving early, or just left for the rest of the semester, or whatever their plans were. It's just odd to see that it's only police and media in there.
Feel lots of hills, but it seems like a really close-knit community.
Now, this is the first interview. Notice the difference in affect.
All of my professors and stuff that are from here, they've seemed like they've been here for a decade or longer, and they seem to know just about everybody. So I would say it's a fairly small community, even though there's roughly 20 to 25,000 people here. The officer that came by door to door, he asked if we had any sort of surveillance or if we knew about any other cameras or anything in the area. Sadly, this is an apartment building, and I'm assuming it's relatively old, so there was nothing. Sadly, this is an apartment building, and I'm assuming it's relatively old, so there was nothing. Sadly, this is an apartment building, and I'm assuming it's relatively old, so there was nothing.
I don't understand the smile here. So in general, when someone's talking and they smile, in my mind, I think that's an indication of truth, right? I think the smile is like a automatic reaction to some memory, and then it's authentic, right? Something is making something. There's something about what they're saying that is a match to what's happening inside of their mind, and it aligns, and so it creates a sense of pleasure, and you get that little smile. We saw it with Susan Smith. We've seen it with politicians. It's just, there's an alignment between the voice, the words that are being spoken, and the internal experience, and the result is cognitively there's pleasure. And so automatic smile comes out. You're not thinking about it. It's authentic. It's genuine. And I find this interesting that he smiles here. I don't know what it means. I'm not saying that I know what it means. I'm not even going to make a guess as to what it means. I'm just saying that when he talks about the building is old and does not have cameras, why the smile? Like, how would those words align with something that's in his head to create a sense of pleasure? I don't know. It's just interesting.
Luckily, sadly, this is an apartment building, and I'm assuming it's relatively old, so there was nothing. Luckily, the apartment sent out an email a couple days ago saying they're adding new lights, which there is a new light up there.
And you guys can see he's an attractive guy. He's an attractive guy. He speaks well. He's not an Elliot Rogers, not by a long shot. He's very successful, third-year law school law student. Don't conflate the two. I'm not saying that he's an incel like Elliot Rogers. I'm trying to say his interviews are interesting, but I wanted to cover the second psychopathic deviancy in terms of a rage killing where it's a true victim. They don't know their perpetrator, but the perpetrator gets offended somehow and responds in that psychopathic rage. But this part with Jeremy, this is just the interview and reacting to it because everybody's talking about it and the parts of it that I think are very interesting. And how does that fit with the Idaho 4 and the facts that we know?
They're going to work on installing cameras just so that if anything like this were to happen again, there's a better chance of getting footage of who did it. It seems like everyone that has been here for a while is just devastated by it. The last murder here was 2015, so 7 years ago.
And the murder that happened 17 years ago, there was no parallel between these murders and what happened in 2015. The murders in 2015, really probably a schizophrenic guy, killed some people. No kind of connection in any, not even cursory, even glancing. So it had no kind of pattern established.
And so it's not something that happens frequently. It's not like we're in a big city where it's an everyday occurrence. So something like this is just sort of rare, doesn't happen often, so people aren't used to it. It's really odd because...
So he laughs there. Remember what I said about these moments are very authentic. Why is it that this caused a moment of pleasure? I don't know, but I think this is part of what's got people talking, feeling uncomfortable. It's not his manner. When you watch Elliot Rogers, it's notable. It's uncomfortable. He's definitely an odd duck, right? Not this guy. This guy's very comfortable to listen to. He's intelligent. He speaks with purpose. He is handsome. He's been in one place for a long period of time, so he's got consistency. He's third-year law students. There's conscientiousness. He's very comfortable to talk to. But then he comes up with these odd moments of laughter that I find very interesting. What in this comment, this statement about him being close to this horrific crime causes him not to just smile, but to actually laugh out loud? What is in his mind that those words are aligned with what he's thinking, and it brings him pleasure, and he laughs and giggles? Chris Watts laughed and giggled when he talked about the kids being gone. I just want, Shanann to come home. It's very curious. I don't know what it means.
I don't know. I've never been this close to any sort of other sort of rare. It doesn't happen often, so people aren't used to it. It's really odd because, I don't know, I've never been this close to any sort of other sort of rare. It doesn't happen often, so people aren't used to it. It's really odd because, I don't know, I've never been this close to any sort of other.
Can I point another thing out that seems inconsistent? It seems inconsistent that he's a third-year law student and he's this affected by the idea of a crime. Isn't that why he's becoming a lawyer? Is to deal in crime? Not for him to be the criminal, but to, go to court or do contracts or whatever, but to follow the law, right? So it seems a little strange. My comment, let's see, I don't remember this is a notable moment in the interview. The neighbor seems excited that he's associated with something rare. To be clear, he was actually not associated with the crime. He did not see anything. He did not hear anything. The only thing he knows is that he looked through the windows and that he could describe the backyard. And then later on, he says that he took his dog for a walk out there in the back. So he's not associated with the crime. He's not, he does not have a relationship with the Idaho 4. But he seems to be reacting as if he does or did. Again, I'm pointing out things that may explain why people are having this negative reaction to him, because for all intent purposes, he's handsome, he's well-spoken.
Sort of rare, doesn't happen often, so people aren't used to it. It's really odd because, I don't know, I've never been this close to any sort of other. It seems like everyone that has been here for a while is just devastated by it.
And it could be incredulity, right? That could explain it. It could just be kind of a sense of shock and denial of, it's so, I can't believe I'm so close to this happening. But that, for it to be incredulity, you have this awareness, I don't know them, I'm not involved with them, but to think it's only a few hundred yards apart from where it happened, that's pretty strange to consider. But then would you follow up by doing 7 different interviews with national news and YouTube creators? It seems that all of this interviewing stuff, it gives me this impression of intimacy. It gives me this impression that he feels very, very close to what happened to the kids. But he has absolutely said, I don't know them. I didn't talk to them. I didn't have interactions with them. What I can tell you is I look through the windows when I'm walking the dog. I just look up at the windows and I can see people moving around, in the house. And the backyard and then the parking lot is actually the parking lot for our apartment building. So how do I make sense of how he feels so connected to the story? You notice we haven't seen any other people do interviews like this. Why haven't the fraternity guys come out and talked about Ethan? Why haven't we seen that? Why haven't we gotten more sorority girls? So it just seems curious that this guy is so willing to kind of put himself out there as and he's kind of made the story about him. I don't think that was intentional, you know, but you know how people are. I mean, I'm talking about it. We're talking about it. But how long did it take for me to finally say something about it? Because I kept thinking no. And I felt like it was wrong for them to put out the names of the two survivors that were in the bottom floor. I felt like that was, they should have given them their privacy. For one thing, what if the killer wants to come back and finish the job, right? I think it has the potential for putting them in danger as well. So, and now we've got this sixth person on the lease, but I don't know. Let me check back. Do y'all know if anybody has named the name? Don't say the name in my chat. I don't want to know the name of the sixth person on the list, on the lease. Don't put it in the chat. But have they started telling his name? You know, I don't think they should. I think they should keep it quiet. And I think they should have kept the two survivors' names quiet. The Sherlock Holmes and me, test me. He likes attention. Sure, Black Rose. Yeah, that definitely went through my mind. He's just enjoying the notoriety, perhaps. I could agree with that for sure. I have decided on paint colors. I'm so happy, Jen. It took me 2 years to choose the wallpaper for my kitchen, so I am proud of you. Hey, Crime Watch. Yeah, I know her name. Just been on the news. Yeah. So see, I don't think they should be putting the names out, Crime Watch. But maybe I'm being weird when I say that. But sure, Delana. Yeah, of course. I think this guy likes tension. No one in the right mind would want to talk. Well, yeah, in Caledonia, I'm going to agree with you. I think if I just kind of use my imagination and ask myself, if the same exact circumstances happened around me and the cops said, hey, you know, we got a spree killer here. We got 4 people dead and we don't have a clue in the world who it is. They got in and got out. No one saw a thing. And we don't know, you know, who he is or why he did it, but would you like to go on national television and talk about it and put your face out and let people see where you live? My reaction would be no, because I don't want to draw attention to myself. I don't want a killer to know what I look like or who I am, or right? I wouldn't be comfortable doing that. I mean, I was really weirded out, you know, when I found out that Barry Morphew had watched my videos. That freaked me out. I was very uncomfortable with that. But anyway, so yeah, he did a lot of videos, interviews, not only with the mainstream people, but he also did interviews on YouTube with social media interviews. So that's why I said he had like 6 or 7. Yeah, big ups. It was I was a little bit weirded out about that because I didn't always say nice things about old Bear. You know what I mean? So I was a little bit scared about that. Okay. And I named my bird after him too, which isn't really good, right? Barry behind bars. Yeah, not good. Okay. So let's go ahead and we'll finish this up.
The last murder here was 2015, so 7 years ago. And so it's not something that happens frequently. It's not like we're in a big city where it's an everyday occurrence, like crime scene before, I guess, other than like a drug bust, like walking by a house and seeing cops with like a drug bust. But that's the closest I've ever been to a crime scene. So especially one of this magnitude where I could throw a baseball from my front door to the house. It's just odd.
See, again, he is putting himself in the crime scene. And I don't mean he's saying he did anything. I mean, cognitively, in his imagination, he's he's measuring how close am I to the bed where they died. Well, I could throw a baseball there. If that baseball lands in that bedroom, then he essentially, a part of him is sort of there in the house. This is a game that a lot of people do. Think about when the Twin Towers fell. There were many of us that tried to imagine what would that have been like? Like, what would that experience have been like? Who would you have called? What would have been the last thing you would have said? You know, would you have wanted people to know? Well, people do that in tragedies. I'm not saying this is an indication that he's done anything wrong, but I do find it a bit, I think it's odd enough. And this may be one of those things that are causing people to feel uncomfortable with him. I'm not saying this shows that he's a perpetrator, not even close. This video is addressing why are people so focused on him? What is there about him that they're responding to in such a negative fashion? He's handsome, he's smart, he's well-spoken, he's successful, and all of those things together. So why are people feeling some negative, energy here? And I'm trying to point out some of the inconsistencies in these interviews that might be at the heart of why so many people are feeling negative about him. I am not giving you examples of why I think he's the perpetrator. Okay, I want to be clear about that. I don't think he's a killer. I don't think he wants to be the killer. None of that. This is why are people, well, there are people that are saying they think that he had something to do with it. Why? And so I'm pointing out the things that might explain the negative things and kind of trying to give like an alternative reason that he would say or do these things.
No, I went to bed early that night.
Yeah.
And then I woke up to a bunch of normal, and then
this was a bit odd to me too. So he says, no, the night that it all happened, I was in bed early. Like he is very clear. I went to bed early. I wasn't even awake when all the hullabaloo took place, correct? So he says, I went to bed early. And then this is the part I thought was strange. When he said, I woke up to, and you can see he's searching in his mind. You can see his eyes moving. He's trying to figure out what it was that he woke up to. How's he going to describe it? What are the words he's going to use? And he settles upon the words, a whole bunch of normal. Woke up to a bunch of normal. Think about this a minute. If I asked you, hey, big ups, Michelle, Teresa, Jen, what did you wake up to this morning? Tell me what you woke up to. I woke up to work. I was a little bit late and I had to jump up and I had to hurry up and get dressed and get to work. So I woke up to pressure to hurry up and get to work, right? So Michelle woke up to cold snow. Woke up to a full bladder. That means you're well hydrated. Good. Congratulations. Okay. Yeah. When you say I woke up to a whole bunch of normal, that is a very unusual and odd phrasing. And remember, Jen woke up to Starbucks because you were lucky. And I don't know if Fine Summer's Truth says she woke up to Water Loving Dog or what's going on there, but go on ahead with your bad self. Okay. He's still the main guy on my list. He's a psycho. Ooh, Crime Watch with Kenny. Kenny. Crime with Kenny. You think? Is that really, you really believe that, Kenny? My dog woke me up at 4 a.m. Mine did too, Donna D. I think they're communicating. It's like he was disappointed everything was normal. It's like he was disappointed everything was normal. Crystal Lynn, you can come over here and sit by me. I like to talk about some of that stuff that people don't want us talking about. Yeah, that's what I'm thinking, Crystal. He searches for how to answer. He doesn't know what he doesn't know how to describe what he woke up to. What did he wake up to? And then it occurs to him, well, I didn't wake up to anything. Was I expecting to wake up to something? Is that why it gets characterized as a whole bunch of normal? What exactly does a whole bunch of normal look like? Isn't a whole bunch of normal just the mundane? Right, Michelle? The mundane, right? What you expect to happen, that's what is a whole bunch of normal. It's your expectancy of a normal, regular day. And that it would be really the way I would think somebody would say it. They would say, no, I went to bed really early. When I woke up, there was nothing to pay attention to. It was just a regular day. But he really searches. Nothing exciting. Nothing outside the norm. Nothing unusual, right? So I don't know what it means. I'm just saying it's a clumsy comment. And the point of what we're talking about is, why are there so many people watching these interviews and walking around saying, oh, the cops need to investigate him. He's the culprit. Why? He's handsome. He's successful. He's intelligent. He's well-spoken. He's got, good communication. His pragmatics are a little bit unusual, but not overtly unusual. No, there should not be any reason at all for people to be feeling uncomfortable. And yet, across the board, there are so many people that, are very curious about this. And so this was one of those moments in the interview. I thought, wait a minute, why are you searching so hard to describe what you woke up to? And what did you start to say that you end up with this unusual phraseology, a whole bunch of normal? It's just strange. Very strange. Maybe Scarlett, there was a lot of people that talked about how handsome and good looking Ted Bundy was, right? I don't know. But nothing, let me be clear, nothing that in all of these interviews, I've watched all of them, all of the YouTube, social media stuff, nothing that he said would say, oh, the cops better talk to me, right? Nothing. I'm just amazed at all the people that are really having some big negative reaction. I'm not having a big negative reaction, but I wanted to look and kind of point out some of the things said that seem a little odd, that maybe people are reacting not to the fact that he's guilty of doing something horrible, but that maybe he's just kind of got, maybe his communication may be a little bit different, but this was strange to say, well, wake up to a whole bunch of nothing. And then at noon, all hell breaks loose.
And a couple hours later, we got a message and there was a bunch of police here. And then that was the end of normalcy for the past week or so here. Though the day that the police were called here, about an hour or two after that, an officer came by and just went door to door along here, just asking if anybody had seen or heard anything. That's the only contact I've had with officers so far. Occasionally there were parties.
Okay, little boo-boo. There again, he's saying to you, he's not having contact with the cops. The cops are not interested in him. So you're saying something that is really big when you say, oh, he's been ruled out. You're implying that he was a person of interest and that the cops have said, nope, he's in the clear. He's never been a person of interest. The cops wouldn't rule him out because they haven't spoken to him.
They were kind of loud. Most of the time it was pretty self-contained. But yeah, as as I would take my dog in and out to go to the bathroom, I would just occasionally there were parties that were kind of loud. Most of the time it was pretty self-contained. But yeah, as I would take my dog in and out to go to the bathroom, I would just occasionally there were parties that were kind of loud. Most of the time it was pretty self-contained. But yeah, as I would take my dog in, it's pretty self-contained. But yeah, as I would take it's pretty self-contained. But yeah, as I would take it's pretty self-contained. But yeah, as I would take it's pretty self-contained. But yeah, as I would take.
Okay. So he very clearly says, he says, as I was taking my dog out to go to the bathroom, right? I mean, I'm filling in that last prepositional phrase, but essentially I was taking my dog out to go to the bathroom or to relieve himself or whatever. That is called past continuous tense. And past continuous tense is a form of speech where something that was ongoing has already ended, right? So I was taking my dog out to go to the bathroom before I went to sleep. It meant you were in the process of taking them out, but all that happened in the past and now it's over, right? It's a fancy way of saying past tense, but it's specific to an ongoing action. But what is so interesting is his correction. Now, he's an attorney. Well, he's being educated to become an attorney, and for their field, words matter. And it's like getting a PhD. You better know the English language, or not just English language, but you better know your formal language. And you better be able to express yourself verbally. And so he definitely hears the difference. He definitely catches himself. As I was taking my dog outside to go to the bathroom, that means in the past, that night, I was taking the dog out and something happened. That's what it means. And then he corrected himself, and the correction is really interesting. The correction is he went to what is called the past future continuous tense. And the past future continuous tense is used to indicate habitual action in the past that was interrupted by another later action. Like Tom told that he would be playing football tomorrow, or I was aware that it would be storming today. So yesterday, let's say yesterday, I bought bottled water in anticipation that we would have no electricity because, and here it is, I knew it would be storming today. And I know this is boring, and I know this is, it's advanced grammar, and everybody hates advanced college grammar. But this is important in this situation. And the reason why this is so important that he goes from past continuous tense, I was taking my dog out when XYZ happened. You see what I mean? As compared to I would take my dog out each night. Meaning in the past future continuous tense, you did that action in the past and you'll continue to do it again in the future. Weird, right? Weird. Black Rose says, I want to wake up to a whole lot of normal. Yet I do too, Black Rose. I do too. Thank you. Black Rose, you're a good friend of the channel. I appreciate the super chat, really. Okay. So this was very interesting to me. This is a big deal. And you know that it's important to me. You know it's a big deal because I've got him saying it over and over. I want you to hear it and remember it because it's striking. I know, Frosta. I can own it. You know what today is, Frosta? Wild Speculation Friday. But you are welcome here at all times, Frosta. Thank you for being here. Okay, so let's keep going.
It's pretty self-contained. But yeah, as I would take my dog in and out to go to the bathroom. But yeah, as I would take my dog in and out to go to the bathroom, I would just be walking.
There you go. As I would take my dog out to go to the bathroom, I would walk in front of the house and look into the windows. As compared to, as I was taking my dog out to go to the bathroom, I saw them, I talked to them, I ran into them. What? What happened when you were taking the dog out? You clearly said, I was taking my dog out to go to the bathroom when what? He catches himself from that past tense in the moment. His memory, whatever it was that he was reliving, there was a definite action in the past that has ended. That night, I was taking my dog out. He changed it to past future continuous tense to, as I would take my dog out to the bathroom, I would see them every night when I was walking. Telling you.
It's pretty self-contained. But yeah, as I would take my dog in and out to go to the bathroom.
Did you hear him? Did you hear him catch? As I was, you can see it in his face. You can see it in his eyes. He blinks twice. He's oh gosh. And he rewords it to a continuing action that he does daily. He did it in the past and he'll do it again in the future to normalize it.
Through, be walking by, I would look up and I would see people in the windows almost every night, probably for.
So the question is, what was he really going to say? Was he about to say, I was taking my dog out for a walk and I saw people through the window? Instead of, as I would take my dog for a walk, I would look up into the windows and I would see people in the windows. You hear the difference? It's a profoundly different statement. And a third-year medical student, he understands the power of words. He knows the power of words. It's evident right there. He caught himself. It's interesting, y'all.
I would look up and I would see people in the windows almost every night, probably 4 or 5 nights a week. So there were a lot of people that went into and out of that house pretty frequently.
So imagine if you're this third-year law student. The third year's tough. Fourth year, things begin to average out, but that third year in most of these big final terminal degrees, it gets pretty rough. So imagine being this third-year law student, night after night, trying to study. Your grades are failing. Everybody's drunk around you. They're coming in all hours of the night, turning music on, out in the parking lot, screaming and yelling. We got one of those kids looking at Joe Vidot at the Grubhub saying F you, just out of nowhere for no apparent reason whatsoever. Was there a moment in the backyard? We know the cop said the girls came home, they took the little dog out, and then they went in. Was he also that not? Is that why he said, I was taking my dog out? Did they bump into each other in the back? And if so, was Maddie being obnoxious? She had said F you to Joe. And that still doesn't mean, even if that type of thing did occur, it still does not mean that this guy did anything at all. I'm just saying, maybe him feeling so close to the case, this slip of the tongue, maybe there was some kind of moment. Maybe somehow he's a bit closer than he's admitted to. And maybe that's why he's doing these interviews. But it doesn't mean he did it, y'all. It doesn't mean he's the perpetrator.
So yeah, it was kind of a party house, but again, this whole neighborhood is sort of like a party neighborhood because it's just off campus, so you sort of don't have to follow the university rules.
I thought that was interesting too, and he smiled. He said, well, it's close to campus, but it's really technically off campus, and, they don't have to follow the university rules. Has he been complaining to the university? Has he tried to get some help to calm things down so that he can get some sleep or get some studying done? I don't know. He smiled. Must have been something going on for him to think about, nobody's following the university rules.
I hope whoever did it gets found, because 4 people is not something that you just walk away from and act all normal. And so I hope whoever did it gets found, because 4 people is not something that you just walk away from and act all normal. And so I hope whoever did it gets found, because 4 people is not something that you just walk away from and act all normal.
A whole lot of normal. It's a whole lot of normal going on.
And so I hope whoever did it gets found, because 4 people is not something that you just walk away from and act all normal. And so whether or not the cops think there's a danger, I disagree. I think there is a danger, because 4 people.
Why is he so tickled? He's talking about there being danger. He's talking about there being a murderer on the loose, a crazed murderer. And he's smiling and laughing out loud.
People shows that person's dangerous. So I hope he's caught, preferably before I get back from break.
That is actually something he's repeated multiple times. I hope the guy's caught, preferably before I get back from break. All right. He also has said that he fears the people talking about him. He fears them more than he fears the killer. What do y'all think about that? He fears us more than he fears the killer. Odd, yes? If you think that's a strange thing, strange comment, put a 1. That somebody would say, I fear a bunch of, YouTube creators more than I fear the killer. Why? I don't know a single YouTube creator that has a big giant K-bar and is competent enough to end the lives of 4 people within 15 minutes and walk away scot-free. I think you better fear the killer. Weird, right? Yeah, absolutely. Wake up. Blissful Elixir, did you hear the story about the lost cell phone? No, who has a lost cell phone, Elixir? He has stated that he is interested in true crime. Well, he's in law. He wants to become an attorney. So wouldn't you think, look at Scott Reich. Scott Reich is an attorney and he's got a true crime channel. No, I think it goes along with the territory. I would be surprised if he was not interested in true crime. Barry Morphew was a lover of true crime as well, wasn't he? They had a recording where he's listening to these true crime, stories on the radio. Or I guess he was listening to YouTube. Yep. Did he really, for breakthrough, and how long? Worried more about sleuths than killer? Yeah, I don't know. I don't understand. He went to doors because he found a phone. Wait, what do you mean? Wait. Y'all tell me about this phone. He mentioned the Green River Killer and a couple of others. This is a rabbit hole for sure. I agree on the rabbit hole. Witnesses during Nicholas Cruz's trial were smiling during their testimony, obviously a nervous reaction. Yeah, but it's an authentic reaction. It's pretty hard to fake a smile in an authentic way. So when you see that smiling, you should pay attention to the content. It has some kind of meaning. Yeah, Michelle. Yeah, I'm with you. Oh my gosh, Angie, baby. Right. Yeah. Crime Watch with Kenny. If this was in the UK, he would be in custody already on suspicion. Perhaps he works for the FBI. I wrote many papers on local incidents during college years. But Delana, did you pursue interviews? As you were writing these, were you trying to become interviewed to make yourself a part of the storyline? So, question, Water Loving Dog. Why would this guy find a telephone and then go door to door to give it away rather than to call the police to come and collect the cell phone as potential evidence? Oh, the lost phone was last year. And who did he talk to? Did he talk to one of the girls at the house? Yes, find Summer's truth. Someone else was living there then. Okay. All right. So there we have it. My first video on the Idaho 4 was the discussion of, I saw that, wake up. Yeah, I don't know. It's too OJ Simpson-y for me. I don't really even have an opinion about it, other than it just seems convenient. Can we be here? Here's why I say that. It's cold. It's cold there. So of course there's people wearing gloves. So is this interview, Caldonia, where he's speaking about finding the phone, is that the one with Olivia? The girls had been living in that house for, was it 2 years? Hey, Jeff Brown, thank you. With I didn't see that interview. I need to go watch that. From what you guys are saying, there was a lot of interesting comments made. I don't think there was a fling, Jen, if at all, like any possibility, like a very slim, very low possibility. But I think in my mind, it would be more not of a relationship, not of a fling, but more like kind of what happened between Maddie and Joe. That, Maddie was intoxicated and she's a bit extroverted. And for whatever reason, she looks at Joe and says, F you. Well, what if she was walking the dog in the backyard and she ran across the killer and she was being obnoxious and drunk and she said, well, F you. And it really got under the skin of the killer. And then he came back later to, make her pay. It could be that type of narcissistic rage. How dare you say F you to me? How dare you do that? Now I'm going to have to make you pay. Sorry. I would be surprised if he did, Jen. He's third year law school. He's pretty solid. I'm going to tell y'all this. Y'all are going to think this is odd, though. I think he looks a bit like Hoodie Guy. But I think, can I say, there's a lot of people that look like Hoodie Guy. In case you haven't noticed, there's a lot of gingers in Moscow. If you've noticed how many gingers are on all these video cameras and put a 1. There's a lot of redheaded people. A lot of people that look like me. My people. Usually I have to be in Ireland before I'm with people that look like me. Red hair, freckles. Yes, my hair is naturally more like a strawberry blonde. All right. I'm going to try to find it, Caldonia. I had not heard it. Hey, Mel. Gingers and Jays. That's funny. All right. I don't know why there's so many gingers in Idaho. It's a mystery. There's redheads in Egypt because of the red fox from Russia. All right, people. We are finished with this. I hope you found it interesting. I hate to say enjoyable because it's such a tragic, subject. But I hope it was interesting to you. And I'm just trying to kind of methodically go through and talk about how is it that a person can have such passion to murder a stranger, right? That's most of us, when we see overkill like this, we think, well, it's got to be something personal involved. There's got to be passion there that was the foundation for such brutality. But people like Ted Bundy and Jeffrey Dahmer, these people, because they have a thought disorder, their interpretation of what they're being presented with can fire up that passion and that rage. It may not have their ideas, their delusions have zero truth related to the reality of the situation, but because they're operating from a psychopathic or deviant point of view, their view of reality is skewed. And they can feel very intimate to a complete and total stranger. Just like in the movie. Did y'all think of the name of that movie with Robin Williams? Where he's the photographer, not the photographer, but he works and he processes the film. Do y'all remember that? What was the name of that movie? It was a single word, I think. Robin Williams was like working at a Walgreens or something. Hey, Mystic Firefly. What do you think, Lise? Was this a comfortable topic? Photo booth. Thank you for that. My brain thanks you for that. Hey, KB. All right. So photo booth or photo lab. That's the perfect example for what I'm trying to portray in this second video. The first video is a Dahmer or Ted Bundy type situation. It's somebody who's got something wrong. They want to kill. They feel driven to kill. They're getting a sexual excitement at the prospect of killing. And they try to control it through distraction or fantasy until finally something triggers and they just have to try real world. And when they do go real world, they generally start out by mutilating animals, even sometimes just bugs, right? And we've got Buddy less than 3 miles from the house, and his pelt was removed with surgical precision in a very strange way. And so it does have the flavor, the hint of a Jeffrey Dahmer or Ted Bundy type of thing. Now, Ted Bundy had a lot of rage in his killings, but you know, Dahmer was methodical, and he had a purpose for why he was doing what he was doing. And that's sort of what Buddy, his death was like. This video, I'm taking a different view of it. And it is still a psychopath. It's still that intense antisocial anger, narcissistic rage. But it's more like, instead of thinking about a Ted Bundy, it would be more like the Robin Williams movie Photo Lab, where the family runs across this friendly guy, or apparently friendly guy. He's odd, socially clumsy, has no real world friends, no peers to speak of. And to them, he's just some rando dude at the Walgreens. But for him, he has now developed an obsession, and he has now insidiously invaded their personal life. He's done background checks on them. He's gone into their home when they're at work. And it all started because he was looking at their photographs that he was processing, and he began stealing photographs, making copies of a 1 hour photo. That's it, Black Rose. Thank you. 1 hour photo. Yes. And he began stealing copies of videos of the photos of the kids. And so he starts feeling like he is in a relationship with them. He starts feeling like he is intimate with them in a family sort of way. He even buys a gift for the little kid in the family. And yet, even though Robin Williams definitely thinks he's in a relationship, the family just thinks he's nobody. They don't know who he is. They don't, you know, they know his name. They know he works there, but there's no relationship. But he is so fully deep into this organized delusion that he does end up getting his feelings hurt. The family unknowingly hurts his feelings, and then there's hell to pay. Things go out of control. So if someone were watching the girls from afar and they were kind of like falling in love in a deviant kind of way, an unrealistic way, they're falling in love with one or all of the girls, and they become obsessed, and they're watching everything that's going on at the house, and they might even have an occasional interaction. Oh, hey, how are you? Love your dog. Yeah, I love your dog too. See you later. You know, I mean, we know what people talk about when they run into each other and they're walking their dogs. Not unusual. Maybe they parked next to each other in the parking lot at one point. But then one night, you know, Maddie or one of the others, they're drunk and they're being obnoxious like drunk people will, just like we saw in the video with Joe. And maybe somebody, you know, said to the guy, hey, F you. Why you have your dog? Get your dog from out of our yard. Don't let your dog poop in our yard. Go. What's wrong with you? Well, this is a guy who had an obsession. If he was secretly sort of in this delusional type of relationship that wasn't real at all, but it felt real to him. And then the person that he's, you know, fixated on says something hurtful, like, you know, get out of here. I don't want your dog pooping on our yard. Go. Then you could trigger one of these psychopathic rages. Could definitely happen. Cassie Roku, thank you, my dear, for helping out with the channel. Please watch Sweetie Pilo. I love Sweetie Pilo. There is a letter on Reddit someone wrote. If I did it. Damn. Wow. That, you know what? That'll be the first place I go when I end this live. I'm going to go over to Sweetie Pie. And Sweetie Pilo is awesome. If y'all don't know who she is, she's one of my friends. She's amazing. She's intelligent and fun and very interesting. So if you haven't listened to her videos, I hope you will do that. She's really worthwhile to listen to. So I'll go over to listen to Sweetie Pilo about this letter. And then, yeah, again, OJ, right? OJ wrote a damn book, If I Did It, or If I Were to Do It, something like that. And then I'm going to go to Olivia and watch the interview that she did with Jeremy. Law enforcement said it was brutal. We do need to wait for the true facts. I agree with you 100%, Alessio. We do. We do need to. These are not facts. Well, kind of they are. The things that I reacted to in my video are real. He did say those things. These are well, I did manipulate them, but I didn't change the content of speech. I just drew attention to phrases and whatnot. So in that sense, it is factual. He did say these things during these interviews. But none of this says he did anything wrong. Nothing. And his history and his background all show that he's successful in what he's doing. And, you know, the reason that I added this is because so many people feel uncomfortable about him. And some have even outright said they thought he was involved. And I wanted to point out some of the things that were unusual that people might be responding to that really are not a sign of being a perpetrator, but maybe it's just a communication style. Maybe it's just a moment of being a little bit clumsy, right? So no, in no way am I presenting information to say that I think that Jeremy Reagan is the perpetrator. No way, not by a long shot. I don't believe that. But I certainly think it is notable when you have someone who does that many interviews with so many different people and have so many viewers, and so many of the viewers are just convinced that he had something to do with it. That is interesting. I do not think that he is the perpetrator. But I do think there's something there maybe that he hasn't told us. Like maybe he did talk to one of the girls that evening. Maybe he did take his dog out to go to the bathroom and they kind of stumbled upon each other. And maybe it was a perfectly lovely conversation. There was nothing wrong with it at all. But would you want to tell the cops that? Would you want to say to the cops, yeah, I saw her back there in the dark woods, had a few minutes, just said hello, talked about our dogs, and then we both went our separate ways? I wouldn't want to tell the cops that. I wouldn't want someone to look at me and say, oh, you're the last person that saw him alive. Would you? So, yeah. So just, you know, chill out a little bit on looking and saying, ooh, he did it. No, it could be something else that he's got a secret on, but not, hey, he's the one that did it. No, I didn't either, Mello. Speculation and facts. Yes, it's Wild Speculation Friday, Delana. A lot of people, Cassie, feel like perhaps he's just enjoying being a part of the story, the attention and such. The person who wrote the letter about how they did it sounds like they watch video games. Like, what is the one they use to recruit people in the military? play, not watch. I can't play. I'm not playing Tweety Pie's content. She makes money off her content. We have to go over there and watch it and let her get the credit for it. Media saying something is not the police. I will only listen to what police say directly from their mouths, not media. Yeah, Alessia, I didn't go by what media said at all. If you go back and you watch the video, Alessia, we 100% listen to the words of Jeremy. That's who we listen to. These are Jeremy's words. Know what I mean? Know what I mean, Jelly Bean? Yeah, Lisa, there's a lot of people that feel they're curious why he has kind of made himself part of the story, right? I mean, definitely, it's no doubt when people, let's say 5 years from now, when people go out and they start Googling the Idaho 4 and they start trying to, read the Wikipedia page and learn about what happened, they're going to read about Jeremy Reagan, right? Jeremy Reagan has now made himself a part of the record for this particular crime. What do you mean, Alexer? What do you mean every night? First he said every night. Yeah, I kind of went by the, I felt like he was telling us his nightly routine. Has he changed that? Yeah, Delana. I felt a bit uncomfortable how dramatically his affect has changed. Initially, there was smiling and laughing and whatnot, and now he's sort of gone through this metamorphosis where now he's very robotic, very restricted affect, no smiles. Harsh Reality read something on his channel the other day. She talked with a different coroner and Jack did it, and surprisingly, Maddie looked targeted. A lot of people are worried about this Jack guy. Hey, Calm in the Chaos, welcome. Yeah, this is totally his choice. He's not even been interviewed by the police, and he's making all the rounds. I mean, he's had YouTube interviews and mainstream media. I think Grizzly True Crime is trying to get him on her channel. No, he's definitely inserted himself. Yeah. So I don't know. All right. Let's put an end to this. We are at 2 hours and 33 minutes. This was one of our long ones, wasn't it? Ugh. Okay. Please share this video on your social media. Share this social media. Share this video on your social media because the YouTube algorithm is showing me no love. You know what I mean? I mean, I'm beginning to think I'm going to have to like wear sexy negligee or something to get the algorithm to go, what? What? Who? Allegedly innocent? Huh? Because right now, the algorithm does not know who I am. All right. So it would help me help you. Help me help you have a successful community so we can all hang out, be snarky together, right? Okay. Hey, Turquoise, welcome. It's been a long time since I saw you. Hey, LBI, thank you for being here. I appreciate it. So please share on your social media. It is a great help for you to hit the thumbs up. And you might even try, if you haven't already subscribed, if you are currently subscribed, hit the bell, hit the unsubscribe button, then resubscribe and hit the bell that says send all notifications. And sometimes that will get you back to where you're getting the notifications. And what I always ask you guys to do, in fact, I'm begging and pleading in a shameless, embarrassing fashion, please leave a comment under this video. When you leave a comment under the video, then the algorithm gives me lots of, warm and snuggly points. So the algorithm likes to see that engagement. They like to see the comments under the videos. And then the algorithm goes, oh, look, there's a lot of people commenting under this video. It must be a good one. Here, let me share it. Okay. So even if you just put your shopping list underneath the video, or you just go in there and say, hey, Jules, what's shaking? Anything you want to put. John, you can go in there and write, Johnny Depp is a hottie. Whatever you want to write, okay? Because the algorithm is really dumb. It has no reading comprehension at all. It just says, oh, look at the number of comments. Must be a good one. Let me share it to more people. Okay. All right. Pam Frenchman, thank you so much. You are a sweetheart, and I appreciate you, truly. Same thing, Black Rose. I am very grateful for all your help, and it's great to see you again today. It's been a little while since I saw you. Same thing with Mystic Firefly. I haven't seen you in a long time. All right. We are out of here, people. I hope you guys have a wonderful evening. Be careful on the streets of YouTube. We have lots of crazies of all of our own wandering these streets. And more than anything, you know what I'm going to say, right? I appreciate you. Thank you for being here. And I really enjoyed sharing wild speculation with you tonight. Thank you, Sandra Lee. You're amazing. I appreciate you so, so much. Thank you, Sandra. I caught it. I was just about to hit end broadcast. So thank you. I am absolutely grateful. Thank you so much. Okay, everybody. Y'all have a great evening, and let's go find something fun to watch on YouTube. Okay.